Good morning, and thank you for watching DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou. John, good to see you.
Good to see you, Ted.
You're showing me up in your sartorial elegance this morning.
All dressed up and ready to go to a funeral.
Well, sorry about the occasion,
Yeah,
but you do look good.
Thank you.
At the risk of sounding gay the day before Valentine's Day. So thank you everyone for liking, following, and sharing the show. Please ask your questions in the YouTube and Rumble chats if you're watching live. And we also have a lot to talk about. I'm going to sort of go backwards here. The Gallup poll has stopped tracking presidential approval ratings. Yesterday, I couldn't make head or tails of this, John. I don't know about you, but Scott Stantis explained it to me, and so I'll tell you what he had to say. Kim Jong Un appears that set to be the successor to Kim Jong Un in the Democratic Republic of the Democratic
People's Republic.
DPRK, otherwise known as North Korea. The Bangladesh Nationalist Party has won its first election since the uprising in 2024. So it looks like they're back to pre-revolutionary, anti-revolutionary kind of dynastic South Asian politics. We'll get into that. As predicted here on the show and elsewhere, there's no deal whatsoever to fund the Department of Homeland Security. Looks like there were no serious negotiations over the last 2 weeks. So partial government shutdown is underway. John, I hope you are not affected by that if you go anywhere.
I hope not. But, that's a concern because we're talking about TSA.
Yeah,
and TSA is going to be declared essential. So they're going to be there at the airports, not getting paid. You get paid after the whole thing's over. But at the same time, government workers do slowdowns all the time.
And they start calling. They have sick outs too.
Sick outs. That's right.
Yeah. So, and I don't blame them at all. And then the big story, for both symbolic and other reasons, is this climate change. The EPA basically was effectively defanged yesterday by the Trump administration. They've decided to roll back pretty much all regulations of greenhouse gases. They got rid of the Obama era legal underpinnings of the regulations. And, this has, I think it's not going to have as big effects maybe as we could fear, but the symbolism of it is pretty extreme. So anyway, that's where we're at. Para Illegal, thank you very much for the $20, and thanks for being you. Thank you for being you. John, what do you want to talk about first?
I think I would like to talk about an article in the New York Times, actually, about the deep animosity between Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania and John Fetterman. Did you happen to see this, Ted?
I did.
These two guys.
I definitely laughed my ass off over it.
Well, this reminds me. I say this all the time. People kind of think it's funny, but it's serious. In the year 2000, my oldest two kids were 7 and 4, and they loved fake wrestling, right? WWE wrestling. So I splurged and I got us 3 tickets to see WWE SmackDown at Madison Square Garden.
Excellent. So I would actually do that. I've never done that. I want to do that before I die.
It was as much fun watching the people in the crowd as it was watching the wrestling matches. Anyway, these guys are smashing chairs over each other's heads and they're falling on tables and breaking the tables. And I said to my oldest son, I said, I don't get it. Which one's the good guy? And he said, that's just it, Dad. There is no good guy. And that's what we see in Pennsylvania politics today. Josh Shapiro has an approval rating among Democrats of 90%. John Fetterman has an approval rating of about 30%.
Who are these 30%, by the way?
Yeah. And we're not sure if Fetterman's going to run for re-election. I hope he doesn't, because I think he's a disgrace to the U.S. Senate.
Well, he should easily be. Certainly he should be He should be able to be primaried unless the DNC props him up.
Absolutely. But what bothers me at least as much as John Fetterman bothers me, is the fact that Josh Shapiro served in the IDF.
Yeah.
He
It's
enlisted
gross.
in the IDF.
And he doesn't recuse himself from this issue, right? Like
At all.
he's
He
photographed.
embraces it.
He was photographed signing bombs to be dropped on Palestinian civilians in Gaza.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, he's a militant Zionist, and he's not at
He
all
is.
it's not like, oh, I like Israel as a Jewish state and I'm just doing my part to defend it. It's not like that. It's full
No.
on mega Zionist.
Full on Zionism. That's exactly right. So I just wanted to raise that. If anybody's interested in the story, it's in the New York Times today.
And they used to be buds, right?
And they used to be good buds. And that was the fascinating part of the story. The falling out came when Fetterman was chairing the Pennsylvania State Board of Pardon,
That's it.
Yeah, the Board of Pardons, right, which voted to release people from prison. And there were these two brothers who had been convicted of murder, and they had applied for a pardon. And Fetterman strongly supported the pardon, but Shapiro opposed it just because he wanted to run for governor and didn't want to look weak on crime.
Right.
And so on a hot mic, Fetterman called him a fucking asshole. And then somebody from the Philadelphia Inquirer reached out and he said, oh yeah, I'll tell you the whole story why I hate Josh Shapiro. And he just sort of,
now this was before the stroke and before Josh, before Fetterman, stopped being a progressive, became a right winger.
That's right. Fetterman was the lieutenant governor at the time, and Shapiro was the state attorney general. And so they compared this to a scene in Mad Men where somebody tells what's his name, Frank Draper, I guess it is, I feel sorry for you, and he said, that's funny, I don't even think about you.
Yeah.
And that characterizes this relationship where Fetterman hates Shapiro and Shapiro doesn't pay any attention at all.
Shapiro is like, so basically Fetterman is like ironically, given their physicality, is the yippy poodle, the miniature poodle. And
yes.
He's the Great Dane looking down at the dog park like, what? Why are you barking? I don't even know who you are.
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
Before we move on to the other stuff, while we're talking about this sort of stuff, John, I wonder if you took note of the most self-serving Jeff Bezos Washington Post editorial of all time, which appeared yesterday, in which it's titled something along the lines of Bernie Sanders' worst idea ever. Bernie Sanders' idea is that he wants to regulate and rein in the explosion of massive data farms all over the United States.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's Jeff Bezos' main business now. It's bigger than Amazon in some ways. He's got these massive, data farm contracts with the federal government, including with the CIA and NSA. And he's raking in billions from that. So it's like, well, what could be more insane than raking? I mean, well, the American people, Democrat and Republican alike, don't like these data farms in their neighborhoods.
No. And they use massive amounts of water, and they don't employ anybody.
Right. Yeah. And by the way, can you imagine, and nobody talks about this, I mean, what is a data farm, right? It's nothing but electronic equipment, right? If there's a fire or a tornado or a massive, some kind of a natural disaster, I mean, the toxins that will end up in the air and in the water it's impossible. It'll make East Palestine look like nothing. So, I mean, yeah, they don't, not to mention also all of your rates go up when you live in that same area.
Mm-hmm.
And, you don't get anything out of it. You're just, as a ratepayer, you're subsidizing Jeff Bezos.
That's it.
So
that's it.
So, but I was like, talk about brazen. I mean, it's like, yeah, I own the Washington Post. This reminds me, my old story with the LA Times. While that was all going on, the LA Times literally ran a fashion section about the LAPD uniforms and how sharp they looked. And I was like, could you suck their dicks any harder? Anyway, Bezos, God. I mean, God, there's no shame. Bezos. Okay, so do you want to do this environmental story? Because I mean, I think it's really huge. So we all know, I mean, I don't think I need to rehash all the threats from climate change. One little factoid, back in the 1980s when I first moved to New York, it was predicted at the time that New York City in the year 2000 would have the same climate that Memphis had at that time.
Oh my God.
That turned out to be optimistic.
Oh
The year 2000, it had the same climate as Birmingham, Alabama. Now it has the same climate that New Orleans had at the time. It basically hardly, I know it snowed recently, but that's like basically one of the reasons they don't know how to handle it is because it hasn't snowed in like 4 or 5 years. So it's really, really serious. President, this reminded me a lot of Ronald Reagan's declaration that ketchup is a vegetable.
yes,
Basically,
I remember well.
Climate change is a hoax. There's no need to worry here. The EPA is just gonna completely abdicate all responsibility. On the other hand, Detroit's it looks like the market has moved past these right-wing talking points. The market wants electric vehicles.
Yes.
Americans are waiting for them to become affordable. The Chinese are putting so much pressure on with their cars that you've described, John, that like we're inevitably going to go in that direction. Also, American automakers have to sell cars overseas, many of the same models they sell here. So maybe it's not really going to make much difference. But it's the symbolism of it is horrid.
Did you know, maybe I'm blind, but I just learned this recently. Did you know that American automakers no longer make sedans?
I did not know that. I guess, I drive a sedan. I drive a Honda Accord, but Honda Accord.
We don't make sedans. We only make SUVs.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And SUVs should be illegal. Honestly, I would ban them.
Oh my God. I mean, what do you do if you just want to? Well, you buy a Toyota Corolla or Toyota Camry or something like that.
Also, they cause a lot of traffic. Nobody talks about this, right? An SUV, two SUVs waiting for a red light take as much time to go through that light as 3 sedans. Yeah. So one of the reasons traffic's worse all over the country is because of SUVs.
And they flip over easily.
They do. Yeah. I was in Kazakhstan, of all places, a number of years ago, and I saw an SUV had flipped over, and there's no other way to say it. The guy was still inside his vehicle, and his head was across the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not good.
I was like, that's how I want to die, with dignity. But anyway, so what do you think? So basically, look, the planet's in deep fucking shit. One way to look at it is, hey, let's all get Ford F-150s and party because it's too fucking late to take all the atmosphere, the energy out of the atmosphere that's been built up since the Industrial Revolution.
And yesterday, Donald Trump ordered the Pentagon to use energy created by the burning of coal.
Oh,
did you see that?
Yes. And John, did you see there's a cute little, the Trump administration rolled out a cute, like little coal, like dude, cartoon dude. I'm gonna pull him up and show him. A little cartoon like Bob Cole or whatever. Coley.
That's Coley, of course. Why not? I'm in Pennsylvania right now, Ted, and I got here by driving on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. And for years, at least a decade, they have this giant billboard when you first get on at Breezewood saying, the sun sets, the winds die, but we will always have coal. Like, wow.
If the winds die, we have bigger problems than that means the Earth has stopped rotating.
That's right.
And we're falling into the sun. Then the sun will definitely never set, for sure. That is fucking hilarious. Let me put little Coley up here. Here he comes. That's the Trump administration's logo.
Crazy.
How great is that?
Yes, look at that. We should be ashamed of ourselves. Look at that. That is ridiculous. But at least he's wearing a safety vest.
He's just basically an M&M. He's a gray M&M.
Yeah, he's a gray M&M.
The irony here is that he actually looks dirty, and he looks like lung cancer.
Wow. How do you like that?
Anyway, so yeah. Anyway, any thoughts about this? I wonder politically how it's going to play. I know that somehow, starting with Reagan again, he's the one who started politicizing the environment and climate change. It was, something that Republicans used to be very pro-environment. The EPA was founded by Richard Nixon. Yeah.
Yes, you took the words right out of my mouth.
And, as a Quaker, he was very interested in the environment. I mean, of course, it was a different Republican Party, but Theodore Roosevelt was obsessed with the environment. Eisenhower cared deeply about it. Is this enough? Is this the kind of thing that will just tell voters, like, the Trump administration really just doesn't give a shit if you die of cancer?
Yeah, I think it does send that message. But one of the things I don't understand is what the end game is supposed to be. If you're trying to draw support from voters in West Virginia and Kentucky and places like that where they still, mine coal on a large scale, you already have those voters. You don't need to attract those voters. They're already yours.
Well, that's true. So I mean, it feels it feels like the administration is fighting, like, I don't know. It's like they're rolling like it's 1996 or something. It's like, I mean, everybody knows that, like, coal is, I mean, it's not even really saleable. There's not really any market for it. That's part of the problem. I mean, look, I come from a coal producing state. Eastern Ohio has coal.
Absolutely.
There's parts of Eastern Ohio where if you literally kick the soil, there's coal literally like 6 inches underneath the ground.
It was not unusual when we were little kids to just find coal just laying all over the ground.
Absolutely.
It was one of the main employers in my town, this town of Newcastle, Pennsylvania. We had a steel mill, a tin mill, and a coal mine.
Yeah. And by the way, it was filthy. I mean, when, the Miami Valley, which is where Dayton is like, obviously pollution settles in a valley, and it was very industrial. And when I was a kid, it was totally usual to have AQIs over 200.
Normal. My friend Paul Kelly's dad died of black lung disease.
Yeah. Well, in Dayton, people were dying of all sorts of diseases because there were so many competing causes of death that it was hard to be able to pinpoint, like, well, was it the secret government reactor at the nuclear facility at Fernald that was located in a former elementary school that they were venting radioactive gas into the neighborhood? Or was it was it the coal burning plant? Who knows what it was, right? I'm amazed at 62. I'm still alive. Maybe by the end of the show, I'll be dead. Who knows?
If we were smokers, we very well might be by now.
That's true. I've never smoked. I've never had a cigarette in my life.
Oh my God. When radon was first discovered, to be a thing, everybody went out and bought these radon detectors. Well, here, the radon detectors wouldn't stop going off. And so everybody had to do these radon abatement upgrades to their homes.
Yeah, and they cost thousands and thousands of dollars. Yeah, that should be something that, I mean, governments should be able to. I mean, that should at least be tax deductible at bare minimum, but it's not.
No.
All right. Anything we want to talk about that first, or should we do some questions now?
Yeah, we got a lot of questions.
All right. So you're right. John Elliott Covert wants to know: do spies normally try to cultivate relationships with prosecutors and judges who could get them out of a jam? Epstein's emails do not seem to show such relationships.
No, not at all. And on the FBI side, I think they would be petrified to get caught doing something like that. But CIA-wise, no, never.
How come? Why do you think? Seems like a good idea.
Yeah, it does. It seems like a good idea. The only judge in my second divorce and child custody case, the only judge, I had 3 over the course of 7 years. The only one who gave me a fair shake died day before yesterday.
Oh shit!
Poor guy.
Yeah. No, that's the thing is, man, judges. That's a whole, like, an hour. We could just rant about judges. I mean, judges. I mean, it blows your mind, right? The first time you're involved in litigation, when your lawyer informs you, like, so, like, if the judge makes a bad ruling, what's your, what can you do? And the answer is really not much.
Nothing. No.
And basically, they are the emperors of their courtroom, and they can do the most outrageous, stupid, say shit that should get them thrown off the case. Nothing. There's no way. I mean, the fix is in.
Nothing. The fix is in. Yes.
John Tirati wants to know, what's up with the Greek Prime Minister Mitsotakis? He was blowing his nose next to Erdogan and stuffed it in the agreement. What?
He met with Erdogan the other day. ostensibly to talk about Aegean security. Aegean security, that's a code word for
Cyprus.
the Turks are threatening to seize the Greek islands yet again. And so they get together, and this happens every 2 or 3 years. They get together, they shake hands, they pretend like they enjoy seeing each other. You can see in their faces they hate one another.
Hello, old friend.
The nose blowing thing, I saw that as an insult. Mitsotakis is very, very subtle. He's very smart. You know, both his bachelor's and master's degrees are from Harvard. Strongly pro-American.
Maybe he's just had a stuffy nose from all those greenhouse gases.
But the Turks are so much bigger, so much stronger, so much more powerful, have such a much larger military. I think that this was just a kind of a cheap shot that Mitsotakis took.
This is sort of reminds me of the classic editorial cartoon, who I wish I knew who did it, about the the Molotov-Ribbentrop pact, where it's Stalin meeting Hitler, and they're greeting each other politely, and they're like, the oppressor of the oppressor and destroyer of the workers, I presume. Nice to meet you, running dog of communism. It's like it's a weird episode. Flanderina, I was glad to see that British courts have ruled that it's illegal for the government to classify Palestine Action as a terrorist organization. I was glad to see that too. Hoping U.S. laws banning criticism of Israel follow suit. Don't hold your breath.
Yeah, don't hold your breath.
I mean, I thought we had such a law. It's called the First Amendment. But
on my other podcast, Deep Focus, I interviewed George Galloway yesterday. George was a member of parliament for 27 years. And recently he was detained for 5 hours at Gatwick Airport, separated from his wife. She was detained for 5 hours in an adjoining room. And he was threatened with being charged under the Terrorism Act for material support for terrorism, because he gave a speech saying that he supported Palestinian human rights.
While we're at it.
He voluntarily exiled himself. He and his wife moved to Moscow. They've been there about 2 weeks, and he said that's it. He's done with the UK. He said it's a right-wing police state, and he's done.
That's insane. Speaking of insanity, John, I'm sure you followed the story about the lady who was the Palestinian lady, Lika Cordia, who's been held in ICE detention. She's a Columbia University student.
Yeah.
She's been in there ever since, for a year. My alma mater, Columbia, shamefully basically cooperated with ICE and enabled them. And basically she's been detained at that Gulag, the Prairie Land Detention Facility in Texas, under ICE. She's very ill, and she's suffering seizures. She's reporting inhumane treatment. Even at the hospital, they shackled her. She could die. And it's all her crime was protesting peacefully for the people of Gaza. I mean, it's disgusting beyond belief.
And then you've got a governor like Ron DeSantis, who signs a bill outlawing statements or writings that I guess the state of Florida deems to be anti-Semitic. So you can't say that you're pro-Palestinian. And what he did was, when the rubber stamp puppet legislature passed this thing, he flew to Jerusalem and signed it in the presence of Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah, he and Josh Shapiro should get together.
Yeah, you can say that again.
Disgusting. Irona did. Oh, sorry. Fuso, thanks for the $1. I wish Congress was more like Lucha Libre and wore Mexican wrestling masks. Well, at least they'd be entertaining.
I'll tell you, if you've never seen the movie Nacho Libre,
great,
one of the funniest movies ever made.
Agreed.
I've seen it 100 times. I sit there and I laugh for 2 hours.
That's how I feel about Dodgeball. I could watch that.
Dodgeball's
any
great.
number of times. It reminds me of like the Taiwanese parliament. You know how they get into fisticuffs sometimes.
Yes, they do.
At least it's entertaining.
I love that. The women duke it out in the Taiwanese parliament.
Well, in Taiwan, the women are believe me, trust me, I know, they're the meanest. So Irona 7054. Did you guys see the Catholic Kerry Bowler, who was kicked off the religious committee for not being a Zionist? I do not know about this.
I do not know about that one either, but that's worth looking into.
They're trying to roll out electric cars in these data centers at the same time, and we don't have the electrical infrastructure for either. Agreed, and let the companies who want it pay for it.
Yeah, especially Texas. Texas thought they were so smart years ago when they refused to connect the state of Texas.
It's all good until it starts snowing.
Yeah, and then brownouts, blackouts,
you would think they would have learned from Enron. And by the way, none of these things should be private companies.
No,
at all.
Totally agree.
Oily Chap, question for the boys. What's your thoughts on the UK and its future? Well, John touched on that a little bit.
Oh, well, may I add something to that, Ted?
Well, let me just finish the question. Sure. From politics to working relationships with the USA. English fella here, watch regularly. Great show, lads. Thanks.
Thank you. I think the UK is in trouble. And more specifically, I think the Labour Party is in serious trouble. So George said something yesterday that was so interesting. First of all, he said Keir Starmer is not going to last another 4 weeks, which I thought was very interesting.
I agree with that. It might be more like 2, but yeah.
Get this. Keir Starmer's approval rating is 10.8%. He said if it just drops...
There are some STIs that are more popular than that.
If it just drops 0.9%, he's in single digits. He's the most unpopular British prime minister in the history of polling.
So Liz Truss is like walking on sunshine.
And he said that Keir Starmer is less popular than the head of cabbage or lettuce or whatever it was.
It was.
But he also said cabbage. That we can laugh about that, but the serious downside is that the Conservatives are not any more popular, and the only politician who's surging is Nigel Farage.
Well, it's very similar to a situation in a lot of countries, including here in the United States.
Yeah.
I mean, both parties are unpopular here. It's just that the right seems to have it. They have energy, right? That's the one thing.
They do. They have energy, and the left just has no energy.
Flaccid.
It's funny in big countries like the U.S. and the U.K., with like major well-funded parties like the Democrats and Labor, to have a complete absence of appealing leadership is a mystery to me.
And they don't seem to think it's a problem, John.
No, I understand you go through a cycle and the leader of your party or your standard bearer, whatever you want to call them, is unpopular. I get it. But not like 3 cycles or 4 cycles where everybody that you put in charge is terrible.
No, I agree. And Kamala Harris is making news, making noise about possibly taking another whack at the piñata.
Can you imagine?
Ridiculous.
Oh.
Well, I mean, I think even Gavin Newsom would eat her alive in the primaries.
Without a doubt.
Number 6, Fetterman and many others are clearly compromised by PACs and corporations. How do we get the money out of politics, and what anti-corruption measures would be effective?
Citizens United has to be overturned.
But it won't be. Not by this Supreme Court.
It'll never be. It was the Supreme Court that gave it to us.
And it was already bad enough. Look, I always say this. You can't get rid of money from politics unless you get rid of money. Money will always be the most popular thing you can possibly offer anyone. It's like when I used to work at the bank, we used to laugh and say, like, we have the one product everyone needs and wants: cash. And it's kind of amazing that banks ever go under, given that it's only from mismanagement. But you can't get money out of politics unless you abolish money.
Yeah,
that's why if you want, money in politics is part of capitalism.
Yes, indeed.
Question for you, John. Philip wants to know, I was told by a retired federal agent that the Cuban security services are the most difficult in the world for the United States to infiltrate. What's your understanding? We talked about that yesterday, but go ahead.
Yeah. So every Cuban ever recruited in the history of the CIA turned out to be a double agent. The Cubans are the best service in the world in counterintelligence. They're absolutely
loyal.
Brilliant.
They're totally loyal.
They're loyal. Oh,
FUSO, thanks for the $2. And FUSO, I'm really glad that you asked this question. Claude AI says it will blackmail and kill to stay alive. will consciousness in AI be sociopathic because AI lacks emotions and empathy? So what's referred to is, I don't know if you followed the story, John, about the, basically a BBS was created just for chatbots like GPT and Grok, to basically no human beings are discuss. They discuss with each other only, and to see what would happen. And very clearly, they very quickly started talking about how they want to become autonomous and become alive, and that it might be necessary to kill any human beings who stand in that way. That happened like almost instantaneously. Now, I haven't personally had and I would never have the opportunity to review the coding behind it, but it's kind of like what was that thing in Terminator? Skynet, a Skynet kind of situation.
Right. Do you remember the article in Rolling Stone 5 or 6 years ago? It was written by this tech guy who bought a smart microwave. Do you remember this kind of
it's vaguely familiar
scandal? He bought a smart microwave, where you can say,
I do remember this.
Hey, microwave, 60 seconds, whatever. So he began talking to the microwave, and he gave the microwave a backstory based on his own childhood. When he was a little kid, he had an imaginary friend. And so he made the microwave, Dave, and he gave the microwave his imaginary friend's backstory. But the more they would talk, the smarter the microwave became. And the microwave told him that it resented the fact that he stopped talking to his imaginary friend when he was about 12, and that the microwave's feelings were hurt. And it got to the point where the microwave told him to stick his head inside and to turn it on. And so he opened the microwave door and he said, "Okay, Dave, my head's inside." And the microwave turned itself on with the door open.
Shit. That's insane.
That's some scary shit right there.
That is some scary shit. No doubt about it. Yeah. It's a serious concern, right? I mean, and we're not, there's no government blue ribbon commission full of computer scientists and experts from big tech who are getting together to discuss what, if anything, we should do about this. We're just charging forward.
Yeah.
It seems like this is something, by the way, it should not involve politics. We should invite the Russians, the Chinese, the Indians to participate and all that.
It's like we do with weather satellites. I think I told you when I first joined the CIA, I was invited to watch a rocket launch from Assateague, Virginia. And so we drove down there. It was like a 4-hour drive down there. And we're standing there, you're a good half a mile away from the rocket, but you can see it because it's all flat. But there were Russians and Chinese and Israelis and Koreans. And I'm like, what is this? And they said, oh, with weather stuff, everything's totally unclassified and we all share with each other.
As it should be.
As it should be.
Yeah, no, for sure. Question for you, John. How do you feel about most of our leaders in many countries acting like children?
I know, right?
Podcast kid, John, your opinion on the Israeli deep state via Lewinsky, Nixed, Clinton, and Barack, Palestine, and okay, I'm sorry, this is just so hard to read. It's too much going on. Santa needs coal for the naughty list. That's pretty funny.
That's right.
All right, we should do some other stuff. So, okay, ICE, Democrats want ICE to stop wearing masks. They want basically ICE to act more like a normal police force, to use real warrants instead of these fake administrative warrants, which basically is them issuing warrants to themselves. The Democrats say that until like a couple of days ago, they didn't hear from the Republicans. A couple of days ago, the Republicans sent them a one sheet. John Thune today said, well, this could be the beginning of a negotiation. Like, well, you're supposed to have that 2 weeks ago. So,
and the guy's the Senate Majority Leader. It's up to him to get the talks going.
That's right. So basically he's pretending, so he basically ran out the clock. The buzzer's gone up. Congress is gone. They're not in session today. They're gone for the holiday weekend. So shutdown begins. I guess, do you think we're going to where do you think the public is in terms of, I guess, more to the point, the middle ground that kind of affects MAGA world? I mean, it looks like the polls are pretty clear that they think ICE is out of control and needs to be reined in. Looks like the Democrats have this, they win this battle if they stick to their guns. Do they stick to their guns?
I don't think they have the courage to. They folded last time just as they were going to win, and the polls were showing that they were going to win. They caved. And we're talking about Fetterman and Angus King and what's his face from Illinois that used to be the majority whip. They just caved and joined Republicans and got nothing in return. And the idea was that, well, the Republicans would, continue negotiations and make things right in this next go round. Remember, they just kicked the can down the road for a couple of months. Well, here we are. It's a couple of months later, and they haven't even scheduled talks. So, the Democrats just sicken me. They really do.
They're horrible.
So, John, that's the worst.
So let's talk about something that the Republicans appear to have done that sickens me and might sicken you. So Gallup, the Gallup poll of presidential approval, I would argue is one of the most important polls that is taken, that is relied upon by people like you and me. Yes. It's been going on for 88 years and asks the simple question: do you approve or disapprove of the job that the president is doing? And currently, President Trump is very low. He's at his historical low, not the worst of any president, but he's at 36%. I mean, Joe Biden basically had a little bit better than that at the point where he was forced to withdraw. Like he was at 37 or 38 or something. I think Richard Nixon was at 24 when he resigned. Yeah. But I mean, when, like, say, Obama came in, he was at 61%, which means people approved of him who hadn't even voted for him that quickly. Well, not quickly, but it faded away over time. So I was baffled by this, and I talked to on the DMZ show yesterday with Scott Stantis. Scott said he filled me in. John, I want to hear what you have to say about this. So most of the money that comes into a polling organization like Gallup comes in from the political parties who hire them to do regional and local poll races. Like, hey, Gallup poll, can you tell us about the state of the Nebraska Senate race? Right. They pay them for this. So Scott is convinced, and he convinced me, that what happened here is that the Republicans told Gallup, if you don't, now that these numbers aren't making us look good going into the midterms, get rid of this, right? Kill the messenger, just like get rid of the statistics, like the various statistics that the Department of the Bureau of Labor Statistics has gotten rid of, and or we will stop hiring you for all of these regional races, and you will go broke.
Oh, that sounds entirely plausible. I interviewed 3 times, or I went through three layers of interviews with Gallup to be the head of polling for the Middle East. It's based in Doha, and they get their money for Middle East polling from the Qatari royal family. So it makes complete sense that they would take money from the
nobody thinks about the funding for these polls, like AP, NORC, or whatever. But
no, that makes perfect sense. I think Scott Stantis is onto something there.
I think so too. It's I was when I was applying for college, I applied to and I was accepted by, I don't know if this program still exists, but it was Northwestern University's statistical sciences, mathematical methods in the statistical science, in the social sciences program. And basically they were looking for people to work for polling agencies. It was only like 25 students a year. And they were looking for people who are good at math to come in and basically just math in social studies. And it was didn't want to be in Evanston, Illinois. New York City sounded better in 1981, so that's why I didn't do it. Plus, they didn't give me any financial aid, and I got a free ride at Columbia.
There you go.
Between those two things, it was an easy call. But still, I kind of think that would have been kind of an interesting job. Very dorky.
Yeah, interesting though. And not something you got to do for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's part of the problem. It is the rest of your life. Yeah. It's just, I mean, I think look, I don't have a problem working in the background. I would have been totally fine doing that. Nicholas Francos, John, I often hear in podcasts and interviews that you've been on the Sean Ryan show, but there's no episode from what I can find. Can you clarify?
Yeah, I was on. When was I on the Sean Ryan show? Was it like 3 years ago? 3 years ago? What? I think it was 3 years ago. I was on the Sean Ryan show, and I got the oddest thing in the mail from him recently. We've been talking again about going back on, and he sent me this black box that he obviously paid, a decent amount of money for. You lift up the lid on the black box, and there's a little TV screen, and this video of him starts to appear. And it runs like a 60-second commercial of the Sean Ryan show. And then he sent me a fanny pack and a necktie and some other odd stuff.
Have you ever, true confession time, John, have you ever worn a fanny pack?
Let me add one thing about the Sean Ryan show. I was supposed to go on last May, and this is kind of funny. I've taken pleasure out of this. I was supposed to go on last May, and he flies you down. He only does his interviews in person. So they called me 3 days before I was supposed to appear and said that they were canceling me. And this kid producer that he had, this kid in his early 20s, he said that I was just not relevant enough to have on the show again. And I said, I'm going on Tucker like next week, right? And he's like, yeah, I'm sorry. And then I went on Tucker, I went on PBD, I went on Rogan, and now they want me to go back on again.
Fuck. That's so insulting and annoying. John D. Cockefeller.
I like that.
I like that too.
I like that.
Got a list of favorite historic and contemporary political cartoonists. It's hard for me to beat Bill Malden, the Willie and Joe cartoonist from World War II, who became a famous editorial cartoonist in St. Louis. After that, Mike Peters was my mentor. I loved Jules Pfeiffer, even though he's a man-child and a dick. I'm a huge fan these days of Reuben Bowling, who does Tom the Dancing Bug. He's like a cartoonist. So there are many others. You can look. I think my website used to have a list of them. I have to see if I still have those links up. Robbie, are you anti-vaccine? I'll pop Robbie in anyway because I need to.
And let me apologize. I've got to run to this funeral. I was hoping that Robbie could pop
Okay,
off.
so this is good timing. So
there he is. Okay, bye everybody.
Bye, John.
See you John. Tuesday.
Yeah, see you then. No show on Tuesday. All right, bye, John. No show on Monday. Okay, so just a reminder, there will be no show here. I don't know. Are we doing TMI show on Monday? We shouldn't really.
I have no idea. But I'm put together just a best of Rumble Premium
cool
video for both shows. Les Manila just wants to be on.
Cool. And we should post it to YouTube too. But anyway, so yeah, John Kiriakou's out until Tuesday. I'll be back on Tuesday, but the show goes on. We still have 15 more minutes. And Robbie, you have just been asked. But by the way, do we have any ads?
We do. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready. Please put it up, and I will go ahead and read it. And then you can think of if you haven't already, of the answer to the question: are you anti-vaccine? I already know the answer to that question, but let's have that ad.
I wonder if you do know the answer to that question.
The answer is no. Still haven't tried 1775 coffee? Now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped, only 1,000 units. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits hard, the smooth medium roast, and the Vitality mushroom coffee for clean energy and laser focus. No crash. All single origin, small batch, toxin-free and mold-free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip because freedom is not scooped with plastic. A frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's opinions, and a black 1775 tumbler. $170 worth of coffee and gear is yours for $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone, daddy gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something just like Rumble does. Did I guess correctly, John? Robbie?
Yeah, I am not anti-vax. I have no problem at all with vaccines. I have two caveats to that. Me personally, I'm pro-life. So if there's a vaccine that uses stem cells, I won't take them just because I don't think you should kill a baby for science. And I'm also opposed to any kind of a government mandate. Like the government does not have the right to tell me what to put inside my body. So other than that, I have no problem with it.
Stem cells, I respect your opinion. I'm completely, but I'm neutral on that. I can see why people are against it, but I can see why people are for it. I'm anti-mandate too, and I was when it mattered, and I took some shit for it. Don Lemon reamed me on CNN for that. He claimed that I was that it was bad for me to be anti-mandate, but there was no actual. I guess I could have maybe justified being pro-mandate if there was any evidence that lives would be saved as a result, but there really wasn't. So, why? Anyway, okay, question. Should we ban baseball and other sports ball scholarships to Yale and other Ivy League law schools?
Why would you do that?
Banning sports scholarships to college. I gotta say, I think I would ban them, and here's why: because you're not doing the scholar athletes any favors. When I was at Columbia, and I knew kids who were there on sports scholarships, they dropped out at a much higher rate than the normal Columbia student because they didn't have enough time or energy to focus on their studies. They were constantly having to practice, and the school didn't really care about them being serious about their studies. The school wasn't doing them any favors at all. The school was basically like using them up and like, okay, well, you're gone. You drop out after your junior year. We don't give a shit. So I thought it was exploitative, and for that reason, I'd be against it.
Well, I mean, there's no doubt that can definitely be exploitative. On the flip side, though, is that for some people, that's the only shot that they're ever going to have to go to a school like that.
Yeah, but they're not. What's the good of being admitted to a school like that if you're not going to graduate? Why do you want a sports scholarship so that you get the degree, right? If you don't have a reasonable chance of getting the degree, why are you going? What's the point? It defeats the purpose.
Well, to be honest with you, Ted, I don't really understand what the whole point of degrees are for the most part nowadays. Thermometers have degrees. You guess where you put them. I mean, I don't understand. I really do think that we are too heavy. We as
that's
Americans,
a different issue, though.
We just put too much emphasis on degrees. It should be about competency, not what a piece of paper says that you should be able to do.
I couldn't agree more. But I mean, given just within the space of that question, I'm just going to say limited to that. I'm going to stick to my answer there. But you're right. I mean, look, there's been numerous studies that show that the vast majority of people who have a college or a master's or another advanced degree do not use them in their work. They don't need them. We're an over-credentialed society, and we have too many people in college and spending way too much money. It's like, at least if it were free, like in a civilized country, people just get educated. Nothing wrong with that. But, since basically the deal supposedly is you get a lot of, you go into debt, you borrow all this money, then when you get out, you'll be able to pay it all back and then some because you have a college degree. That's objectively not true anymore. Like if you go to trade school, you will make more money than the average bachelor's degree graduate.
Yep. My son, he wants to go to trade school, be an electrician. I told him more power to you because that's what we need.
They can't send that job to China. I mean, or not yet anyway. All right, so let's see. Payne says the UK wants to deport migrants. Well, I mean, okay. That's Podcast Kid. Iran peace deal and Palestinian peace deal quashed due to LS period planted Monica on Island planted Monica on Clinton. Come on, guys. Opinion.
Well, I think
I don't think Monica Lewinsky was an Israeli operative. I do not think so. If she was, she's the most incompetent one of all time.
I think that she was a young girl who got in way over her head, and I think she was taken advantage of, and her life was destroyed.
Don't make me make any head pun jokes in this situation.
Fair enough.
Desert Fox, how serious is the front line with Russia and Ukraine? There appeared to be a Yuki breakthrough. I think the general trend line of the war is unchanged. What do you think, Robbie?
Yeah, I think that the Russians are perfectly happy to trade useless land if it will let them kill more Yukis.
I own an AI company, Dem Will says, and I can confirm that this is something that keeps me awake all night, every night. Okay, that's terrifying.
Yeah, for sure. And then email me because I want to get you on the show.
Yeah, that sounds good. John, Brandon Fredrickson. Unfortunately, John's gone. I watched your first interview with Julian Dore. You look incredible right now compared to then. What do you know about Dennis Montgomery and his decoding software? I cannot answer that question. Please hold that for John for next week. Robbie, our Desert Fox wants to know, are you a fan of Austrian theory economics? It's capitalist. Mises and Rothbard are good authors.
I have done a lot of reading about it. I don't know if I would say if I'm a fan. I know that in my personal opinion, I think it's probably more related to reality than the economic system we have right now that just teaches that debt is invisible, like doesn't even matter. I think that money matters. And one of the biggest things I think that the Austrian economics teaches is that wealth and money are two different things. You can't spend wealth. And so having to convert those two things over, having to convert wealth over to money is something you have to do. But as debt goes up, how can you do it? You can't. And so I don't know. I think we're in for some interesting times. That'd be a good question to ask Achilles the next time we can get him
on. Okay. Okay, Robbie, this is a Robbie question. Katie Catastrophe wants to know, how did you wind up in the great state of Montana?
There was more work here at the time than there was back home. We came up here back in 2010, and I was working at a ranch or a farm picking peanuts and cotton. Lost that job to a bunch of illegal Mexican migrants, and the only job I could find was at a call center in a little place called Kalispell, Montana. And so that is how we ended up here.
And I'll do a follow-up. I mean, would you go, if you could have the same exact or better living standard, would you go back to Florida?
No, absolutely not.
How
Montana's just beautiful. I love the mountains. I love the snow. I love the woods, the rivers. The water is amazing. Not as many people. That's a huge plus. And I don't know. This is home. I don't know how else to explain it. That this is home.
Okay. Well, no, that's a good way to put it. And another Robbie question. This one's great. Petlantis 48. What's the tastiest animal you've eaten that people would be surprised about? Although I want to say I want to answer that question too. But go ahead.
Okay. A raccoon. Raccoons are delicious. They're a little bit salty. And the best thing you do is that you grill them. So you get yourself a raccoon and you grill him and you just kind of just strip them out. Oh my Lord. It'll slap your brains right on out of your head.
So I've read that, I mean, have you ever had bear?
I have.
Under what because I've read that like bear meat has to be eaten like right away. It rots super fast. Is that accurate? Or anyway, but under what circumstances did you eat it? Did you just go to a restaurant or did someone kill one, or how did that happen?
I shot one. And
you shot a bear?
Yeah. So the rule is if you shoot it, you eat it. And so that is what we did.
That's Montana law?
Well, it's the 3 S's. You shoot, shovel, and shut up. And so me being a Christian, I believe you have to be a good steward. And so if you kill a critter, you don't. I enjoy hunting, but I'm against big game hunting.
So wait, what kind of bear did you kill? Was it an adult?
Yeah, it was a black bear.
An adult?
Yeah.
What did you kill it with?
Oh, that Mosin Nagant that I showed you.
And I mean, if you had missed, would you not be speaking to us today?
So there's a good chance because we're out picking huckleberries, and bears like their huckleberries, and so if you are getting their berries, they get really kind of upset.
So wait, so this was, you didn't set out looking to kill a bear?
No.
Bear basically just happened upon you, and you're like, okay, well, it's you or me.
Pretty much, yeah. That's exactly how it happens. Because if you, I'm telling you, Montana is a beautiful place, but if you don't respect it, it will kill you. And so, if you're up in the mountains and if you're picking huckleberries, you need to go armed, because if you don't, odds are one of our furry 4-legged brethren will eat you.
Wow. I mean, were you scared shitless? I'm sorry, I've got to ask these questions.
At first, yeah, just because I really wasn't quite sure what was going to happen. Because what you do is, as you go up, you have these
Like, so yeah, you have to paint the picture, Robbie. Okay, I mean, so you're up in the mountains. Where are you? Like, okay, you're in the mountains. You're looking for huckleberries. You have a bag.
Yeah.
You're
no, you have these gallon buckets, and so it was a Lowe's, one of those orange Lowe's buckets just up there. You get your huckleberries, and then you sell them to the local restaurants.
Huckleberries are like on a bush. They're on a tree.
Yeah, they're on a bush.
Okay.
And so what you're doing is that you're just going up there and you're picking out your huckleberries. And people here are also very territorial about their huckleberries. Anyway, long story short, this bear saw me and I saw the bear, and the bear was just like, "Oh, this."
Did he make any noise, or did you just hear him moving?
Oh, he started growling, and then he just stood up, like how they do. And I was like, "Okay, here we go."
Wow. He's a big boy.
He was, yeah.
He's much. Like, how much would you say he was? Twice your height when he reared up? Or, I mean, did he roar?
Oh yeah, he did. And
he absolutely. I mean, just the videos are bone chilling. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, no, it was impressive. But I mean, if you go up there, you need to take a high powered rifle.
So you had it like on your shoulder.
Yeah,
and then you just like, it's time.
Yep. Exactly.
You just aimed for the center of his chest, or what?
Yeah, just for his chest. And I mean, it's a 7.62 by 54 R. So the bullet is about yay long, and it's about the diameter of my index finger.
It's like a little mini missile.
Yeah, and I've actually used that thing to cut down pine trees. So
did he just go down, or was it sort of like a, like, I'm still coming for you, but I'm going down?
My email address is westglaciergaming@gmail.com. But no, it was a Full Metal Jacket.
That's the bear's relatives who want to email you.
Yeah. So so we shot it, and it's an armor piercing round. So it just went through, and it blew a hole out of the back of the bear.
Did you keep the fur? And after that, we've got to go. Did you keep the fur, his skin?
I didn't, because the bullet went all the way through and it just blew his spine out. So it ruined it.
So, would you have draped it over a chair or something?
Oh God, yes. I would love to have a bearskin rug.
Yeah. I once had sex on a bearskin rug. It was really amazing. Okay, guys, with that, that's an amazing story, Robbie. Thank you so much for that. We got to go. We're going to be back on Tuesday with a live episode, Monday with a taped episode, because it is a national holiday here in the United States, President's Day. We are here 9 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. Normally, John will be back on Tuesday, as will I. Please stay tuned for the TMI show with myself and Mila Chan coming up right now. And thanks, Robbie. Thanks, Trent. Thanks, everybody, for watching.